Project Ascension is a World of Warcraft private server that changes up what you think of WoW. There's a lot to explain, but I'm going to break it off into 3 parts. There's the classless system that lets you play all the classes as one major hero. There's the draft mode that gives you abilities in card form, similar to what you would see in Vampire Survivors, where when you level up in that game, you'll get like a loot box of abilities pretty much. And there's the Mystic Enchanting system that lets you modify or even completely alter the way abilities work, which I will briefly talk about, but we'll explain a lot more of it on a future video, mainly because this is more endgame content. All right, so how do we get started? There's a link in the description to the website. Come here, press the play now button, and that's gonna download the launcher. Once you download the launcher, you can make an account on the launcher itself, or if you prefer, you could just make it on the website and then enter it in there. And when the launcher loads up, the first thing that it's going to show is a video of how this game works. So I highly recommend checking out that video as you're waiting for the game to download. Once it's done downloading, press play, let the game load up, enter your account information, and boom, load in. The first thing you're going to be greeted with is this here, which is the realms. The one you should definitely start off in is the League 4, which is the one on the left. This first server is a season server. So basically the way it works is after a good period of maybe like 3 months or so, the server will reset and whatever characters that you have on there will immediately be put on Area 52, which is the server on the right. Area 52 is considered the main server, and this is where your characters will always end up after you're done with the season. And currently the expansion that it's running on is Burning Crusade. The server that I mentioned is running on vanilla at the moment. This might change in the future. And there is also Wrath of the Lich King in the works that will most likely end up on the main server, which is the Area 52. The game mode free pick is what allows you to make the hero class that I mentioned, which lets you play all the classes on one character. The realm right here in the middle is the draft pick. This is the card system that I mentioned where you pick a card, you pick an ability, and you just keep going. So as you level, you get new abilities that you're given in card form. The way I look at this server is like it's an experimental server where you're just kind of like messing around with new systems and stuff like that. I don't recommend this for a new player. This is more for like somebody that's already veteranized in this server and has already been playing for a while and you want to try something different. But let's focus on the main server you're going to be going to, which is Archmade. I think I pronounced it right. I have no idea. Once you select the realm, you're going to be picking your class. So from here, if you're a brand new player and have never played WoW before, I highly recommend just playing the normal classes like Warrior, Paladin, Hunter, all the way through to Druid. Mainly to just get the feeling of what this game is like and how it plays and stuff before you overwhelm yourself with the hero class. The good thing about making a class like this is that later on, if you decide you want to make a hero, you can always go to your main city, talk to a guard, scroll down to the bottom, I want to become a classless hero. When you select that, it's going to show it on your map where to go. In this case, Valley of Honor on Horde side, and then you can go change it there. No matter what race you pick, you're going to end up starting in front of an NPC that's really important. So you talk to them, they will give you a quest that introduces you to the game basically, and they'll start you off with simple questing and that will lead you into the major city. If you just want to find the major city, you can always open up your map and then look for that icon there and just run there yourself. There's these floating books near these NPCs. These books are to level up your talents and to also get professions. So for example, you can click on it and you can see all the abilities that you could level up. You see like Battle Shout, I could train it right now. And it is free to do all this stuff. Normally in a normal game, you'll probably have to pay a little bit of coin in order to level up talents, but not in this server. You will also see these floating books like this, which are called Books of Ascension, that players can use as a pet that follows them around. This is something that you can get towards endgame. I don't recommend getting it right away because obviously you won't have enough gold for it. It's about like 600-ish gold, so it's pretty expensive when you're first starting. Then there's the purple book. This one is the Book of Artisans, and this one lets you train up professions. So if you want to be a miner or a skinner or whatever, you can go ahead and level up that way. You could always find these NPCs in any major town or any major city. So let's talk about the classless system. You're going to click on character advancement, which is these arrows right here. Or you can just press N on the keyboard. This is where stuff gets overwhelming. So there's a lot of abilities, obviously, and there's a lot of talents because you're getting every talent tree from each individual class. So you could even go through what type of druid, what type of hunter, what type of mage. So it's extremely overwhelming, and this is why I recommend new players playing the basic classes. That way you can get an understanding before you go into this craziness. As you level up, you'll be getting ability essence. This is what you use to get actual abilities. And you'll also be getting talent essence, and this is what you use to level up the talents. You will also have to choose your primary stat that you'll be focusing on. So if you're trying to make a melee mage, but you think you're going to be using more melee abilities, then you might want to go with strength. Or if you're going to be playing a rogue, then you might want to go with agility. If you're primarily just playing mage, like just throwing fireballs and throwing dust and throwing whatever the hell, then you're going to go with intellect most likely. And if you're focusing on healing, then you're going to do spirit. Another thing to keep in track are these legendary, epic, rare, and uncommon abilities. So as you're looking at them, they're color coded. So for example, Ice Block requires 3 ability essences and 2 of the legendary points. This makes it so that it balances out the game a little bit and you're not just grabbing only major abilities. That way you're not super duper overpowered, but still gives you a lot of flexibility to do whatever you want with your build. As you can see, this is my level 60 character. I have 4 abilities on Druid. I primarily went into Mage a lot. You see 33 and 8. I did some Paladin stuff. I did a couple rogue things because I wanted to go invisible for some reason. I went into Priest because I wanted some healing, and I complemented that healing with some of my talents. Shaman because I wanted the totems, and then Warlock because I wanted some damage over time stuff, and the life tap has been a lifesaver for me with mana. A really cool thing about this is if you feel confused about the talents and what to pick, you could always click on suggested talents right here. Click on that. It will pull up this window. Then you can drag an ability that you're planning to level up. So let's say, for example, I'm going to pick Fireball. That's going to be like my main attack, basically. I'll go and I drag it in there. It will give you a bunch of recommended talents that you could use to complement Fireball. So like, for example, this one in the middle is increasing spell critical strike chance by 1%. That's obviously for pretty much everything I'm going to be doing. Here's another one. Increases your chance to hit with spells and abilities by 1% and increases haste. So you can choose to dedicate into all these talents instead of like just going crazy trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing exactly. This can help guide you a little bit. There is also people in the game that share their builds. So you can reach this by going to this tab right here, Hero Architect. And in here, you can pick people's builds. So you can look through it. There's leveling builds. Since I'm level 60, it's not showing me anything. Level 60 is the max level of the season server, but on the main server, which is Area 52, the max level is 70. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this. So in this case, I'm just going to be looking at the level 60 builds. There's PvE and PvP builds. These builds you're going to be using at max level. If you're leveling up, you'll click on leveling builds. So you would normally have a list that looks like this, where you can scroll through and look through all the different types of builds, or you can specify it for what you want to do. So let's say if you wanted to DPS, just pick the damage one and then look through this. So you can click on somebody's build and see what it looks like. So they're doing balanced druid up until beast mastery. Then they're doing some paladin stuff. Look at that. So they're comboing a lot of stuff to complement whatever this build is to make it their own. Another really cool thing about this is that once you choose a build, like for example, the build that I chose was someone else's. They called it Fire Chicken. The reason why it's called Fire Chicken is because I can transform into Moonkin and I can also do fire abilities. So that's basically the point of it. But when you're looking at the talent tree, you can enable auto learn. And what this would do is as you're leveling up, it will automatically pick up the abilities as it's going. So for example, at level 1 is going to automatically pick all these things, and then at level 10 it's going to automatically go into this, picking up this talent, advancing the talent each level, you see, and it just keeps going as you flow through the levels. Or you can uncheck that and you can decide to do it one by one at your own pace. So you can also click on these and level them up as you unlock them. You could even click on this learn menu and look at what you're missing. You'll see when you're not high enough level for it, it will be red. If it's gray, that means you didn't take it. So you can go ahead and take it from here also by double clicking on it or clicking on it once. And you can also see the abilities on here. To tell them apart, the talents are always have the numbers next to it. You see how it says 2 out of 2? Those are talents. And then the ones that don't have anything are abilities or buffs. The really awesome thing about picking somebody's build like this is that you can basically use this as a template to get started and then make it your own. So when you enable the auto learn, you can choose what abilities that suits you best. Then you can go back and just start picking abilities that you want to do. So like, for example, that guy didn't pick any heals at all. He was mainly just wanting to do DPS. I wanted some heals, so I picked up the shield from Priest. I also picked up Greater Heal. I had Renew, and I ended up respeccing out of that. I think I'm going to get rid of Divine Star because I don't really care for it that much. So this is where you can modify stuff. So let's say if I didn't want Divine Star, which I think I don't, I could go ahead and I can click on it, and I can press Unlearn. When you unlearn an ability, you will normally need these, which is Scrolls of Talent Unlearning. You can get more of them by speaking with the NPC that sells you Marks of Ascension rewards. And in here, you'll find it, Scroll of Talent Unlearning, and also Ability Purges and Talent Purges. So in case you want to respec your entire build, you can do that as well. But this is after level 10. Before level 10, you can unlearn and relearn as many abilities as you want, just to kind of get a feel of what you want to start playing as. And this NPC is always standing by the major board in the town. And you can find that by simply looking at your map and looking for this icon. If you don't have any talents of unlearning, then it's going to cost you gold to respec. And that's why I don't recommend doing it that way and just getting the Scrolls of Talent Unlearning, because it's very easy to get Marks of Ascension, because you get that currency as you're doing quests. And as you're doing dungeons, PvP, anything in the game, you'll be getting that currency because that's the major currency of this server. So let's talk about the things you can do in this game. So there's just the typical open world questing where you're just grabbing quests from NPCs and doing them. There is also open world events that happen. So if you press right click on the map, it will zoom out the camera and show you what level ranges everything is. So there's level scaling in this server, and it allows you to kind of pick and choose what areas you want to hang out in. So let's say, for example, the starting area of Horde side, you're probably going to be starting around here near Orgrimmar. And this area, it's from level 1 to 20. And they also show you what dungeons are available in that level range. So you can do this for all the zones if you want to kind of explore different areas as you level. So like, for example, the Barrens is 10 through 40. So that gives you a lot of opportunity to go and level up as much as possible in there and explore all the content that it has to offer. On top of that, you'll run across open world events. Like, for example, this Legion invasion that's going on. And it will show you what level to participate in that in. So as long as you meet the minimum level of that, so let's say 35 is the minimum, then you'll be able to take advantage of the level scaling that it has to offer, because the mobs will be the level of your character, regardless of what level everybody else is. So you can have a level 60 in there that's also running around, as well as a level 30, but it will all be scaling to each individual character. It's the same way it works on the dungeons as well, which I highly recommend doing dungeons because there's a lot of good rewards with this. Not only do you get a lot of drops, finishing the dungeon will also reward you these loot boxes, basically, that you can open up and they will give you a ton of loot. This makes it really awesome for leveling up because you can constantly be changing out your pieces and seeing what kind of build you want to build. Because with the classless system, you can wear any piece of armor you want. So if you want to wear a plate armor on your mage, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to wear cloth on your warrior, go ahead and do that. So it's up to you. And dungeons is a really awesome source for XP. This is pretty much the way I power leveled myself, was by just spamming dungeons. And there's a lot of people playing while leveling on this server specifically because the season servers are super active with new people trying to level up characters. And that's the cool thing about this server, is that when it gets wiped, basically it starts all over again and everyone's trying to level up. So there's plenty of people to team with. Not to mention the level scaling system makes it really easy for people that are level 60 to team up with level 10s. And everyone is still rewarded. This is what I wish retail was like. And you can pick what type of dungeon you would like to participate in by just clicking on the tab like normal. And you see classic dungeon, that would be for low level stuff. If I wanted to be a level 60 helping my friend that's level 10 through a dungeon, I could go ahead and help him out. Or I can go into the usual end game, which is heroics and mythics. And then there's the PvP. And I thought that PvP was going to be crazy with all the ridiculous builds that everybody's going to make. But honestly, it's been the most fun that I've ever had in WoW. Especially since you can make a crazy ass character too. And like I showed about picking other people's builds, you could always find a meta PvP build that people are using, use that, and go whoop some ass on it. So it makes it really easy to kind of just do whatever you want to do. And now let's talk about the Mystic enchantment system. This is something that's very in-depth, and I'm going to go into more detail in another video, but I'm going to show the basics of what this is like. Every time you get a new piece of gear, they have a chance to have a mythic enchantment on it. This complements your abilities. So let's say, for example, my main attack is Fireball, since I'm playing on a mage. If you look at these boots, it has Focus Fireball. I can hold control to see more information on it, and it will tell me it increases the bonus scaling of your Fireball ability by 3%. So this is something that I could use to boost the damage of that ability. And then you have some of these mythic enchantments that completely change your ability. So for example, I have Cone of Cold, which is an obvious frost attack for mage. I turn that into a fire ability by getting this one here, the Winterfall Breath. So that's pretty amazing because I wanted to focus on fire mage. So that's exactly what I got, was a fire ability instead of it being a freezing ability. So that's really awesome. You can also, when you click on the character advancement window, it's under here, you can click enchantments. This is where you can reforge and even extract your mythic enchantments. You will need to find the mythic enchanting table, and it's usually there's somebody that lays it down in the main city. I'm not 100% sure how to get more of them. I'm assuming that it's on the auction house, just like everything else. But here's one right here in the main city. I'm gonna click on it. So in here, I can access this system where I can reforge, meaning it's just gonna randomly pick a new ability perk, or I can extract it and keep it forever for myself. You'll be getting the mystic runes and also mystic orbs as you're doing dungeons and as you're finishing some of the main quests and stuff like that. Dungeons is definitely the fastest way to get them. And town board dailies. In order to extract the mythic enchantment, you will need the mystic extract. And to get that, you would have to level up your enchanting. To do that, you're just going to take a piece of gear. So for example, let me open up this dungeon cache that I have. And when you get one of those dungeon caches, you can pick what primary stat you are. So in this case, I guess I'll pick intellect. And here's some pieces of gear it dropped for me. This piece right here has concentrated frost ward. I don't want that. So let's say I'll go in here and I'll drop the piece in here. And I could say, all right, I'm going to re-roll this. I'm going to reforge. It's going to cost 1 mystic rune for that. And there, reforged it to something else. I don't have that ability. I'm going to reforge again. And that's leveling up your enchanting. So you can keep doing this over and over and just keep spamming it until you get something you want. And as you're doing that and you level up this bar, it's going to give you a new mystic extract so that way you can extract it. So here we go. I got an ability that I want to keep. So this one is a legendary. So what I could do is extract now. So I'm going to go ahead and extract it and it's going to keep it forever. And of course, it's going to break the item while doing this. There it is. I got that ability now. So now I can take that and I can put that on any of my pieces. And of course, you can only have 1 legendary enchantment at a time, and you can only have up to 3 epic enchantments. So keep that in mind. You're looking at the color coding as you're putting stuff into your build. And some of these things do stack. So you could also do that too. So like, for example, you see this focus fireball increases bonus scaling of your fire ability by 3%. I can go ahead and slap that on something else. I'll put this on his pants. And it's going to use 3 of the mystic orbs. There we go. Boom. See, now I have 2 of them, and it's going to be boosting that damage by 6%. Then the last thing I want to show is the wardrobe, which is my favorite part of this server. It allows you to customize your look at any point in time. You don't have to speak to the stupid NPC, and you don't have to spend any gold. You just slap on whatever piece you want. So I can filter it for collected, and then I can just look through and say, you know what? I like that hat. That looks pretty nice. Apply. And that's it. Boom. Now I got the hat. You see? So it's pretty freaking awesome for customization, because you can go crazy and make your guy look the way you want it to look. I know my guy looks kind of fruity right now, but that's all I have to work with. I'm still working on my transmog. So to get more transmog pieces, you'll see on the actual piece itself, it will say you haven't collected this appearance yet. So you can right click on it to equip it, and then just equip the item that you wanted to keep again, just so you can collect that appearance. So now when you go into transmogging, you can see that piece in there. But all right, that was everything for beginners at least. I'm going to be working on another video that's going to be focused on endgame and showing all that stuff. But anyways, hope this was helpful. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.